Uh, and I'm just going to share with you my screen to show you our agenda. Let's see, here it is. Everybody see that? Yeah. So we got a lot of things to do. We might, so if there's one thing that needs a lot more thought, then we're just going to maybe push it to the next meeting. But everybody can sort of see it. Is everybody ready to get started? I'm just trying to, try to keep this under an hour if possible. So the first of all, just want to say hi, everybody, and welcome to the meeting. Beginning of our summer is upon us. Very exciting. We're all without masks. The first thought was to contact Jeffrey or ask Steve and Marnie whether or not we're ever going to meet in person again. Is that something in anyone's thoughts yet, or that not yet? Marnie?
It's my understanding the council extended the not use of the town hall until the end of July, but maybe in August. And they're going to do the 4th of July in person, I think. So
yeah, we're sort of
like
transitioning. Exactly.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. Okay, so let's just, I sent out a bunch of homework to you guys. I hope you had a chance to take a look at it. Let's start off by just approving the minutes that Dave did. Dave, are you with us? Yeah, okay. So do I have any comments before someone can move to approve the minutes?
No, fine with me.
Can I have somebody move to approve the minutes?
I will.
I'll motion to approve them.
Okay, someone to second?
I'll second.
Okay, everybody raise your hand if you approve the minutes. Okay, Donnie, I guess you can put your yellow hand up if you want to at the bottom. Yes, thank you. Okay, the minutes are approved. Now I'd like to do just sort of, I guess first I just wanted to formally say thank you to Marnie for all of her work. It's just an inordinate amount of work that you have done over the more than a decade on the council, and I am greatly appreciative of your work. So I don't know whether other people want to chime in also, but I know this is your last meeting with us, so I just wanted to share that personally.
Yes, I agree. I mean, all the things that you've been involved with, Marnie, in terms of the light stuff and everything else, you've just done a bang up job, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I agree, and I think Marnie, you've been wonderful to know and work with over the years at the council, and we'll definitely miss you and miss your presence.
Yeah, and we wish you happy trails, as they say. I don't think your voice is on, Marnie. I can't hear you, even though it doesn't. But now you're muted. But before I just didn't hear.
I think I just wasn't very close to the mic. So thank you very much.
Okay. As you all know, we've lost Jack Frink to the town council, and so he's not with us, and we wish him well. And then also recommendations from a number of people to ask Yogesh Rajkochia, I'm probably not pronouncing his last name correctly, who lives at the corner of Deal and Dorset Avenue. That new home that went in has tons of sustainable features. He's very focused on that and has a lot of background in that. And I talked to him, and he is open to filling Jack's shoes. And we're now waiting for the town council to go through the formal process of accepting that nomination. I guess that's the proper way of saying it. So we're waiting to hear. Is that right, Steve or Marnie?
Actually, the mayor appoints and the council approves.
Right, okay, so I've already told Jeffrey Slavin about that. So I wanted him to come today, but he said he'd rather wait till he's officially on board. Okay, now just a bunch of stuff. Now, the Sierra Club has this, I'm gonna change screens. One second. To this Sierra Club thing. Where are you? There it is. So Jeffrey gave me this this thing that he wants to be a part of, for Maryland mayors to be a part of the Sierra Club endorsement, focused on 100% clean air and energy. So there was a number of these things that are circulating around, but it just shows a general connecting communities that are focused on a sustainable future. So these are non-binding commitments, but they do show commitment because that's just sort of the way it works. So I don't know, I sent it to you all. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we can just sort of move to recommend that the town council signs this document to officially be a part of the Sierra Club, who's obviously very focused on a sustainable future. So that's what this is. Anybody can chime in now. Okay, Ralph.
It's just a pledge, right? I mean, doesn't, they,
Yes.
Sierra Club doing anything to support the mayors who make this pledge, or they're just collecting names like a petition?
I think it's some type of hybrid. I mean, Sierra Club always is pushing the needle in many different ways. I mean, they're involved in a lot of things. So it's more like a social awareness campaign, and but I'm sure that they also put pressure on politicians to do more than just pledge. So I think it's hopefully it has more teeth than just this document. But I don't know.
That was my only comment. It seemed pretty, basic and hard not to sign, since it doesn't seem like as much teeth. So yeah, I recommend having the mayor sign it, but I'm not sure what it does except for have a list of mayors in Maryland.
Right. I think that's what it does at the very base. So based on that, do I get a general consensus from people that we want to recommend to the town council to consider this and to sign it?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Okay. You want to move somebody and second someone, and we can take a vote and move on to the next, or?
I move that we recommend that the mayor sign it.
And I second it.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Is your hand raised again? I can see, yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. The next one is very similar. This is something that's here, I'm gonna bring this up. Well, yeah, let me see where I can find this. This is called the, let me see if I can find this. There it is. So right here, so the Paris Climate Agreement actually doesn't say specifically we have to wind down the fossil fuels specifically. It just talks about carbon footprint. But obviously the fossil fuels are the most significant by far contributor to the global warming of the planet with CO2. And there is an organization now that has over 500 municipalities, states, and cities that are trying to basically use the idea, the success story of the nuclear non-proliferation treaty in the 70s is my guess. I can't remember immediately, but it went a long way to reducing the threat of the proliferation of nuclear armaments. Anyway, in the same spirit, this treaty, we actually had these guys on Mother Earth Project Zoom call last week, giving a, they're all over the world. This lady from Ethiopia gave the main presentation. She was amazing, and you can watch it. I can share with you the link if you want to see it, but it's a pretty powerful statement to say, basically it's a three-pronged approach. One is that we immediately stop any new development of fossil fuels, any exploration for new extraction of fossil fuels, and then two is that we wind down the existing fossil fuel industries, and then the third one is to wind up renewable energy alternatives that will take its place. So it's I know this sounds sort of basic, but actually these things are not a part of the Paris Climate Agreement. So specifically, so that's why this organization has become a very important one. And I would like for the Environment Committee to consider recommending to the Town Council to be a part of that. Once again, it's similar to the CR Club. It's non-binding, but it's also just adds more teeth to our town's resolve to not just declare the climate emergency, but to actually be a part of, real transition away from fossil fuels. And, we already discussed changing all of our electricity bills to renewable energy, which will be a monstrous change for the way our carbon footprint looks. But that's going to come later. So anyway, I'll open this up for discussion. Anybody want to weigh in or have any questions?
I think we've talked about this before. There are, as you said, Barton, several things out there, opportunities to sign on. Already, we're talking about changing our own consumption to renewables.
Right.
So this is part of our DNA. This is what we do. And I think it makes sense if we can be one of the signatories. I say, let's do it. And, if I can't imagine they're going to come up with something that we just can't support. If they do, then we'll deal with that when the time comes. But I think they and we are kind of on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ralph. And you can see on this shared screen the three things that I just mentioned. All right. Anybody have any more comments? If not, can I ask somebody to move to?
I just it's not a comment on this really, but it's just a comment on signing up to these various accords. We really need to start working on something with the town. Transitioning the town to renewable or wind energy or whatever it is that Clear Choice uses. Those are all things that can be done very quickly and have an immediate impact, as well as buying the TerraPass credits and things like that. That's beyond that, there's probably not a whole lot the town can do in the short term.
Yeah. So I think basically you're talking about the teeth. the fact that we actually have to do something and not just sign on to these treaties. And I think down the list of our agenda are a couple things that are actually that. But Steve has asked me to start working on, measuring our carbon footprint more, and making those types of recommendations based on what our findings are. So basically, I plan to do that, but I think the first thing we really need to do immediately is change our electricity bills to renewable energy. And also Dave is going to talk about this LED bulb program in a second. So that is to what your comments are, Bug.
Mhm.
Okay, so can I have somebody that could move in a second?
I move.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. And can I have by a show of raise of hands? I don't see you anymore, Dave. You there? Oh, great. Okay, we have everybody. Okay, so that is passed. All right, so our next item, I'm changing the screen to the agenda so we can see what it is. Here it is. Yeah, so this is a revisiting of the recycling contract that Plastic Tree CEO and founder Laura, when she made a presentation 2 months ago. I really want to get your feedback what to do here. I mean, she basically is proposing that she can provide us with specialized breakdown of different parts of our recycling in a way that would more sustainably dispose of our waste. And this is a complicated question. I don't really have any personal recommendations about how we should proceed, but it seems like this is a real problem. The single stream recycling is not sustainable because all this stuff corrupts itself and then it becomes mostly landfill. I don't know the specifics of what really goes to landfill, but I'll just say as an aside that I actually took a mattress that Wider Circle wouldn't accept to the landfill transfer station. Has anyone been out there before? That place
Multiple times.
is fascinating, isn't it? I don't know why I was enamored by
LED bulbs and batteries there.
places, the way they shovel the stuff into these shipping containers and then put them on the train tracks and send them away to the landfill. I just was amazed how they, how we deal with trash and how big of a problem this is. And this is actually not even anything to do with the recyclables, but I don't know whether people have anything more they want to say about this Plastic Tree idea and what we do.
Did we actually send a proposal?
She did, yes. So maybe I guess I didn't send it to you. I apologize if I didn't. I didn't. Okay, so why don't I just send the proposal and then we will and have everyone take a look at it, and we'll just push this to the next meeting. I mean, I think that's really the only thing we can do.
Well, just one possible action item is just does the town or can the town get access to any kind of report from its recycling contractor about what they do with the recycling that they collect in terms of a breakdown of, how much of it is actually recycled, how much goes to the landfill, how much is spoilage and stuff. I mean, it would be, if we go contracting with some other party, it would be useful to know what deficiencies there are with the current scheme. Because I think one advantage of the single stream, obviously, is that it's much more convenient for everybody. And more people kind of buy into, the recycling if it's more convenient. The more steps you add, the more, likelihood that people just chuck everything in the trash.
I know that Laura was very focused on collecting the data and providing that as sort of incentivizing people to reduce it and studying that. But I don't think our current contractor, Steve or Marnie or someone else, do you know the answer to that question more specifically? My understanding is no, that they don't provide that information.
I think they do, and I don't know if they could do that. I mean, you can ask Matt Trellinger to ask them.
I mean, I would think if they're, they, market themselves as a recycling contractor, they must have some kind of data process. Otherwise, they could just be taking it all to the landfill and not doing anything in the way of recycling.
Right.
I would tell you that over time, Rob and Barb tried very hard to get good data from our contractor on tonnage for different kinds of things, and it was only modestly successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think down the line, we're going to need to get rid of the single stream. I think the writing is on the wall about that. I worry that plastic tree, I think we would overwhelm them. I mean, hers, it's so labor intensive, and they would overwhelm us because there would be so much sorting that would be required by the homeowners who are used to throwing everything in the blue bin. I think one of the worst outcomes would be if we signed on to something and then failed. And I fear that to have them be our main contractor for recycling, I think we would be in trouble. However, I think she also, and she has said that all of the all of the communities that use her use bits and pieces. If we were to do it and have her be our main recycler, we would be the first. And I didn't get the idea that she could handle it. Mm-hmm. And I think, unfortunately, what we need is maybe more than just a line item on the agenda for one meeting. I think we might need a dedicated meeting to really studying that, in addition to our monthly meeting.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Ralph. I got the sense that she was thinking about, going to do full recycling, but I don't think she has the capability at this point. I don't think she has the trucks. She doesn't have any contracts of where she would be able to tip, et cetera, et cetera. So I would definitely like a lot more due diligence before we'd even consider that. And also, we're talking about another year from now when the contract is up. Is that correct?
Marnie?
Yes, the contract, I think it was renewed in May. We actually explored going back to dual stream recycling, but we didn't have we explored it with the village and I think the town of Chevy Chase, but our contractor said that we didn't have a big enough volume for him to have the trucks to do the dual recycling again. Of course, the market can change, but
when you say
I agree. A more focused meeting on this topic would be important because I think it's got a lot of different elements.
Chevy Chase Village and all these met with the man who is in charge of recycling for Montgomery County, and I think, David, you mentioned his name last month.
Adam Ortiz.
Say again?
Adam Ortiz.
And I actually wrote a report about that, and my report had some inaccuracies, but at this point, I think it's probably obsolete anyway. But it was one of the things that we were considering at the time was seeing if Montgomery County would drive their trucks through Somerset. Obviously, we would pay them whatever, we'd be subcontracting the county, which is strange, but they can handle it. Anything that can be handled, they can. And I don't know if it would be more expensive or cheaper, or even if they would accept that that's relationship, but it might be worth checking into again with updated information.
Just as far as Adam Ortiz, I've seen him give his presentation at least twice. The county does at least a report that I've heard, it does a very good job in recycling. The paper, because they do separate it, it actually gets high dollar, in terms of the recycling, as opposed to, because it's not single stream. And I particularly quizzed them on colored glass, because colored glass is, the reports are that no one's recycling, no one's taking anymore. And he says that the county has a place that takes it. So I don't think it's going to landfill. So I don't know what how it works going back into using county services. We use the police and fire, so they're not like we don't already use some county services.
Mhm.
And they would have the trucks and the ability.
Yeah, I mean, something like
and maybe we
needs scale, and the town doesn't have scale to do a lot of things. I'm sure it's only 300 houses or something.
400 plus. Do you think, Ralph, you can continue, or maybe Dave also helping out, but just to revisit these options that you just mentioned, since you, because I mean, let's face it, waste management is a major part of the carbon footprint that we create, all this waste. If we could reduce, if we could repurpose, if we could reuse, obviously we need to reduce what we do also, but it would be so important to properly dispose of our waste, and we need to do as good of a job as possible. Do you think you could look into it and revisit it, Ralph, from what you've done?
Let me first of all find that report that I wrote for this committee, make some corrections on it. I completely misrepresented the composting, and kind of get it up to date as of a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And then I would hate to kind of put it off until the last minute, and then a year from now still not have anything. So now is a good time.
That'd be great. I mean, if you could contact the county and ask them about us subcontracting back to them that service to allow us to tie in to their services, if you think it is worth our while to consider, that would be great.
And then a separate question is that, is it a package thing? Can we just get the recycling as opposed to the trash? And what's the alternatives on that? I don't know the answer to that.
It would depend on what he says, and it would depend on whether Good will continue to work with us for just the trash.
Right.
There's a lot of moving parts. I'm very happy certainly with the people who come around weekly.
Yep.
They do a good job, and they take all our stuff. But
okay, it'd be great if you could.
And I don't want to completely sever our contact with Plastic Tree. I think that she does things that, if we could manage to use bits and pieces of what she does, it would make the recycling that much easier, and it would take care of some things that aren't taken care of otherwise.
That's an excellent point. I like that. So first of all, it'd be great if you could update your report, Ralph, and then add some new information about like subcontracting with the county, blah, 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 that stuff. If you could maybe put that together and send it to me so we can
I'll get it done very shortly.
And then we could have that for the next meeting. And then the second comment that you said is excellent too, because we have compost that takes care of compost. So we could hypothetically have like 4 times a year people's Amazon boxes that are delivered to the town hall or whatever, and then she picks up all these boxes like 4 times a year, or these, you know what I mean, these specialty items.
I think in our town, we order from Amazon so much that 4 times a year, everyone's house would be full.
Okay, well, whatever, you know, we could do it every month. We could do it every 2 weeks. We could have the contract for her to pick up that stuff, which is, I think, very meaningful, actually. Don't you think?
Yes.
So whatever it is, we could have her, we could create a contract whereby we would have these substantial items like, you know, our family unfortunately doesn't have any like major dedicated cooks. So we do order out a fair amount. And unfortunately, we're trapped in the plastic world, which is horrifying for me. And even though I rinse out everything carefully, I just sort of feel like it's not really properly, it could be repurposed, as she said. So that would be also another item. Those are the 2 big items she spoke of in the last meeting. So I'd be happy to talk to her about doing some type of contract like that.
I was afraid when I saw her name written on the agenda, I was afraid she was going to be joining us again. She's spoken to us twice, and this is the first time we've actually discussed her proposal without her present. And
Right.
I think we need the opportunity to continue to do that.
Okay. Well, we're doing it now, and then I think maybe next meeting with your report and my getting back to her about some of the ideas that I just mentioned, maybe we can push forward the next steps of, you know, hone in on the what we want to do as a committee as far as making our recommendations. All right. So we got those are some action items there. Okay, so the next item is the apiaries. 1 second, I'm just writing some notes. Okay, the apiaries unfortunately has been officially voted down because there was a concern about the liability issue that not resolved. I'd love to have Steve give me us an update in what your.
Sure, Barton. So I have some good news for you. At the
Wow.
council meeting on Monday, following some extensive negotiations and engagement by the mayor, working with Sarah, we were able to come to an agreement, and the council approved a draft memorandum of agreement and approved up to $500 to cover the insurance. So everything should be set. And apparently Sarah has fresh bees as opposed to bees that are already settled into a beehive. Apparently she has an ability to get the apiary up and running this month. So that should happen.
That is awesome news. God, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you, Steve. And I guess you guys have been communicating with Sarah so that she's already activated to just take the lead on.
Jeffrey and Ron Bolt, the town attorney, have been working with her. Matt Trollinger has been dealing with various insurance companies to sort through that. That was one of the, I guess, unexpected from the committee standpoint. One of the unexpected issues was insurance coverage, and the town's insurance policy through LGIT, I think that's its next name, the Local Government Insurance Trust.
Okay.
That covers the town, but even though Sarah would be working as like an approved volunteer or subcontractor, she would not be covered. And that means that town residents would not be covered if something were to happen and they felt obliged to sue Sarah. There'd be no insurance coverage backing Sarah up. And that would be both potentially awkward, unfortunate for Sarah, and also potentially, unfortunate for Somerset residents. So that's why we're getting a policy just to cover the beekeeper.
Mhm.
It's a very modest policy through some bee hive or beekeeper collective. I must say, in my own research, I could not find a single case of a lawsuit about someone being stung by a bee. I
Right.
found lots of lawsuits where beekeepers sued because their bees were damaged by trespassers or chemicals from a local industry or something, but no cases of a person or a family suing because of a bee sting.
Right.
So I think we're in good shape. I think the fact that this is just a one-year pilot was a very important factor for the new council members. So I think we're in good shape. I think it's exciting. I'm very happy.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all the committee members here who have supported it in various ways. As you know, the fenced in area is there waiting for the bees, and all it needs is the bees. So I
Yep.
guess she'll bring bees, and then as we will revisit the pilot study in the late fall to see whether it's successful, and hopefully at that point, if everything is running smoothly, we can the town council will vote again for another 5 years. Is that my understanding? Is that how we've worded it? That's my understanding.
Either for another 5 years, maybe for 4 years, I can't recall exactly, but for more than just a year to year.
Right. Excellent. Okay, great. Feather and a cap for all of us. We're going to repollinate and do good things for our town in that way. The next item is the shredding event. I've been in touch with Phyllis Weisenfelder, who's run it in the past. Because of COVID, it didn't happen this spring because it was just whatever, everyone knows why. So she offered September 18th and the 25th are dates that this shredding guy can come to town, to the town hall. And so either of those dates, it's just for your information, for those who celebrate Jewish holidays, it is after the Jewish holidays, both Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So it's a Saturday event. And I just wanted to see if anyone, has any questions about that, but I would love to have the committee recommend to the town council to have that event this fall in lieu of the one that we just missed in the spring. To get that back and get that going again. Patty.
We also used to do recycling of batteries and fluorescent lights, and someone made a run to the dump with those things. I don't know if you want to continue to do that. I vote for September 18th because I'm going to be not in town on the 25th, but
Okay.
Whatever you choose is fine, obviously.
Okay. Also batteries and what did you say? Batteries and light bulbs.
Fluorescent lights.
Fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah.
Fluorescent bulbs.
Okay. So you said the 18th is better for you.
Better for me, but
Yeah.
go with what's best for everybody.
So then why don't we just sort of say, we recommend either of those dates. We prefer the 18th, and we would also like to encourage you to continue, recycling the batteries and fluorescent bulbs like you've done in the past, and hope that will continue.
No, that's us that does that.
Oh, you
Yes.
do that on the same event?
The
Yes,
environmental.
yes.
Oh, right. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yes. It's been so
Alvin used to be the leader for that. And I think Jack Frink.
Right.
Right.
So I think, it involves a trip to the dump, to the town dump.
I see.
I think they had the town staff take it, actually.
Okay. Okay. So then why don't we do recommend it on the 18th, since you'll be there to supervise that part of it, Patty?
Oh, I don't know if I'll be there to supervise it, but yes, I should.
We'll need somebody to volunteer to be a part of that.
Depends on the hours. I have no idea what.
Okay. Well, can we leave that up in the air for now, and maybe one of the committee members, or I think we should have a bunch of our committee members there anyway as a meet and greet. So maybe we'll just put that off to another date as to who's going to commit to that
Sounds good.
date. Okay?
Yep. We
Can
should
I
do
have-
anything else that, we can bring to the dump that's small enough, it's not a bad opportunity for people to bring
And you
things.
can add like small electronics, LED light bulbs you need to recycle.
Right, LED light bulbs, that's another example. We'll have
Right.
to figure out what the dump takes.
I think
Yes.
LEDs just go in the trash.
No, because they have mercury.
CFLs get recycled.
The LED have mercury in their bulbs, and so you
Oh,
have to,
it's actually the CFLs, the compact fluorescents have mercury, not the LEDs.
okay.
But the LEDs have electronics in them, so.
Okay. So can I ask somebody to move to recommend the 18th, either date, but we prefer the 18th, and then that would be great.
I can't.
I know you
I'm
can't.
not an official member.
I move that we, propose this running event for September 18th, or the other date, I forget what it was, as a backup.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. And all in favor, raise your hand, please. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, we're moving along very nicely here. About the charging station. So my understanding about the EV charging station is that there was concern that the EV charging station it would be one unit that would service up to 2 cars at the same time, or 2 trucks or whatever, would be put in the parking lot, like in 2 spots, or it would be, it would take up 2 spots potentially. And there was concern that it had no real value or benefit to our town residents specifically. And because of that, the council decided that they didn't want to support Pepco's free offering of installing it in the town parking lot. So, my initial response is of disappointment, just because, I mean, a lot of the things about this new sustainable future, this world that we're forging ahead and doing systems change, are things that in some ways we can't even imagine what our world is going to be changing to, because everything has to be changed. I mean, I remember when Greta Thunberg said that, we need a systems change, that I was just completely blown over by that comment, because I didn't know what it meant. I mean, she basically was saying that we need to rethink the way we do everything. And I thought that was unimaginable that anyone could even propose such a thing. But here we are, like almost a year later from when she made that comment, and the whole world is changing very rapidly. There are systems changes all over the world in many ways. And I know people here on this call are involved in many different related activities, and they know it firsthand how things are changing rapidly. So in the spirit of that, it's somewhat hard to imagine that how 500,000 charging stations that Joe Biden and his administration are trying to do, is that going to change the thought process of the way we look at electric vehicles, or is it something else that's going to move the needle? And the answer to the question is everything's going to move the needle. We don't know which one's going to be moving the needle more than the others, and also what in one community could be moving the needle, it might not work in another community. So it's, we just don't know how things are, and we might be a different community in 10 years or 5 years with all of our electric vehicles with different types of needs. So I don't really think that this electric vehicle station is going to change the fabric of our community so much in the parking lot that, we need to, just to give away something that's going to be given to us for free. And it's a part of a sort of this transition that's going on all over the country. But I would love to hear your input, members, and please chime in here.
Hi, Bart.
Could I
This
just
is-
ask a
this is
question?
Kabir. Oh, sorry, Marnie.
Oh, no, go ahead, Kabir.
Go ahead, Kabir.
Bart, this is Kabir. I'm a new council member. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join this committee. It's great to be here. You know, I really appreciate what you were saying about systems change. You know, but systems change doesn't mean we play into monopoly power. And I think part of what was being proposed by PEPCO, and I wasn't on the council then, is a lock-in 20-year contract. And on top of that, they would charge for using that station, and we would not have any share in the revenue. And I think, you know, I think we should have EV chargers at every parking lot in town. But this seemed to be, you know, extremely favorable for PEPCO. And I think they wanted the town hall parking lot because it's right off Wisconsin on a major thoroughfare, and it would, you know, in the sort of competition that's going to emerge on charging, it gave them a leg up. So I think that's part of the factor here that, you know, as you know, there is no free lunch. And it was seemingly free, but it locked us into a contract, especially on a technology that's rapidly changing and could evolve. And, you know, I think there were comments made at that council meeting that we would lose control on the direction of this down the road. So just wanted to bring that up as you summarized why that didn't work out.
Thank you for that information. And Marnie, do you have another comment also before we talk about?
I guess I didn't know whether the council had taken action this past Monday, but when I was on the council, we voted to approve the charging station with the caveat of could we negotiate with PEPCO for shorter than 20 years? Maybe there's some update on that.
Kabir?
I don't believe this is Steve. No
Yeah,
update
go
on
ahead,
that.
Steve.
And the vote was 3-2 to go ahead with the charging station if we could negotiate a contract that had a shorter time period than the 20 years that I think PEPCO had PEPCO had a standard contract for everybody. And we were asking whether or not their attorneys could agree to a shorter time frame, much shorter time frame.
Yeah, like 5 years.
I think we talked
Exactly.
about two to three.
Or even less.
2 to 3 or 5, yeah.
Okay, so in what was their response? Somebody?
I don't believe it's come back to.
I don't think it's come back to us.
It's not come back, yeah. I think, you know, Jeffrey is probably working his angles with PEPCO. So I don't
There's
know if it's come
also
back.
something else. I was up there the other day at that parking lot. It was full of trucks, worker trucks that were in kind of filling up the parking lot. I've never, you know, I don't know if that's normal or not.
Mhm. So Kabir, one question. First of all, are you going to be our liaison with Steve going forward? Is that the case or?
I would love to be, but I don't think we have decided that as a group. And I think it's on our
Okay.
to-do list for Monday when we huddle as the working session.
Exactly. I think the council's going to sort out new liaison assignments next week at our work session.
Okay, thank you. And the second thing is, Kabir, I really thank you for your comments. That definitely is enlightening me. I mean, yes, we all hate this monopolistic situation with PEPCO. I don't know how we're going to break that, but I think that what we've done to prod them with this LED pilot study from 10, 15 years ago, and how we have made our mark on PEPCO by nudging them and bothering them and giving them counter proposals. And somehow I think they've been receptive to our ideas. So I like the idea what Marnie said, you know, or Steve said, you know, doing a 2-year contract or doing it in a way that still gives us control. I think it's very reasonable. And I think we should continue to push PEPCO to hold them back from gaining even more of a monopoly, especially during this transition, because that's,
Agreed, totally agree.
mean,
Because then they get baked into the new transition.
yeah.
I don't know the history for the charging station, but did the town approach any of the commercial EV charging station businesses to see if they wanted to put one in there? Because there's like a dozen or more of them these days.
I agree, and they're growing rapidly.
The
I think that
history,
would be a good recommendation.
the
My
history is that
knowledge, we didn't approach anybody else. Pepco came to us with an offer. They're trying to put in as many charging stations as possible. They came to us with an offer to put it in at zero cost to the town.
okay, the history is that this is actually the state has approved this program in which these charging stations would be placed on public land or publicly leased land at no charge. And so that was the proposal and approved by the state commission. So the reason that came to the town is because we are a public, we have public land. We have a public parking lot. That's why we were viewed, and obviously being next to Wisconsin Avenue is the reason why they were found it attractive. As far as I can't speak to the monopoly part. Yes, there are other providers. This was one. They saw this as a possible place to put a charger, and so I personally think it would be nice to have one there. But I can see there are some issues having to do with town usage.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We look forward to hearing back from the council members about whether Pepco has gotten back to them, because this is an important thing that we need to be a part of, and we need to continue to push Pepco for this issue, and also the LED lighting. I hope that we'll hear back from them in a couple months, and this doesn't drag on about the LED lights for our town streets. Yeah. Anyway,
just one other comment. If this came down from the Electricity Regulatory Commission, it seems short-sighted of them to effectively grant Pepco another monopoly when this is a clearly emerging technology area and a lot of different providers. I would have thought they would have opened that up to more service providers being able to do that rather than just granting it, passing it off Pepco.
No, Pepco proposed for a large number, and they were given only 500.
Oh, okay. So others have been given.
No, others, just that they were recognizing that issue, and but they wanted to, reflect the fact that public's one, this provided a free charging station on public land. It had some benefits, but didn't want to go whole hog.
okay.
Well, we can check in with Jeffrey, and I think we can make it part of our conversation next week in the council working session. If
Thank
Steve
you.
is up for it, he's the president.
Thank you, Kabir. You guys are getting close to the 8:30 mark. I have like 4 more items. Can I ask that we extend our meeting for like another 10 or 15 minutes, if people are open to that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, in the spirit of being efficient, I'd like to skip the next one, which has to do with rezoning. That letter I sent you that was passed to me, to our committee, and come towards the end. But the things that I'd like to get to quickly are, one is that the Clearview proposal. I actually sent it to the town council back in March or April, the end of March, about asking them to consider passing a resolution to change their renewable energy to Clearview or another third party user that provides 100% renewable energy. And I guess they hadn't acted on that yet, but that's like a major thing that needs to happen soon. I think Jeffrey said that they needed like 3 competitive offers, but which is fine, but the way so I wrote another proposal to remind them that they need to address this issue. And I also told them that the proposals, to get 3 proposals from different providers. I mean, it's all in, Pepco provides a list of all the third-party providers, and they specifically say that the how much it costs, how much they charge. So it's not like it's a complicated vetting process. All the information is there. They know exactly, so they can decide, the council can decide to choose an expensive renewable energy or a less expensive renewable energy. And I just sort of asked them to consider Clearview because they're the least expensive one that I have found after my research. And also there are now like 40% of our town, or approximately that, because I can't keep up with it every year, uses that option for renewable energy. So I just wanted to give you an update that I'm hoping that the town council, yeah.
Well, maybe, Barton, I don't mind doing it, but I can sift through the 20 or 30 odd alternative energy providers that Pepco allows in their system, and see which of, well, I mean, I've done it in the past, and Clearview always seems to have been the cheapest, but I can do it again and come up with the with 3 of the least expensive for renewables, and we can give those names to the town.
Okay, that would be great. And I have the proposal I sent to the town. I'm going to send it to you guys again. It's pretty much the same thing I sent a couple months ago, but on that is the link to those third-party providers. So if you don't have that link already, Andrew, you'll see it there.
Yeah, and I think the town, depending on the provider, you can sign up for a month-to-month service or a periodic commitment, but it's never in a year. So it's something that binding themselves into some long-term obligation.
Yeah. Anyway.
Can I report on just, I don't know if people have been following, the Maryland legislature passed a community choice energy bill that the governor did not veto. So it's now law, in which Montgomery County is going to be the pilot for, and that means that Montgomery County will become the electricity provider for all of its residents, and that you would have to opt out or to choose to stay with your clean choice or whatever. But the intention is from the county is to offer a variety of offerings, you know, from 100% to partial to but the idea and part of the climate action plan of the county is to encourage people to move to purchasing from less polluting sources. So that unfortunately is going to take at least a few years to be implemented. So won't be seeing that in reality until about 24.
Was that, David, was that the same bill that they end up approving the community solar, where they can use certain bits of public land and others for?
No, that was separate. I think that was the previous year.
Okay, because that got vetoed by either the executive or the county, the council or something.
Okay, so 2 other quick items. One is, Dave, you want to speak quickly about the LED bulb exchange and your ideas about bringing it to the, it's the new neighbor to Somerset gathering. Go ahead.
All right, so last meeting, there was a discussion about, encouraging LEDs. And I said, what about this bulb exchange that the Department of Environmental Protection, Montgomery County's DEP, runs a series of events over the year in which they will be there with essentially new LED bulbs, and you bring your incandescent or complex fluorescent, and they will give you a free LED bulb. And they have done this now at grocery stores, libraries, breweries, you name it. They've done this over the years. It is a reasonably successful program. They know what they're doing. I've shown up at least one brewery. It came to my Jewish organization for an exchange also. So I've talked to DEP and they're interested. At this point, they're saying as long as it's outdoors, that might change by later in a few months on their interest in whether it's indoors or outdoors. I approached Phyllis about the new residence party. And I also, since she's also, I believe, doing the shredding event, I suggested that was another possible place. Both of those are where more than many town residents may be coming. So it's a gathering spot. They can have, all DEP would have as a table, and it would just be a publicity beforehand saying, bring your bulbs and you can get a brand new LED. So the question I have is, A, do we want to do that? And B, which of the events makes the most sense? I recommend the new residents, just because I think there'll be a more attendance than at the shredding event. But that's at least my recommendation. My only thing, I have not checked on whether they will be willing to come on a weekend or not.
What was the last thing you just said?
Whether they would be willing to come on a weekend, which when those, the shredding event or the new residents.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's a great idea, and whether we do it at both events, shredding and or the new member, I mean, I'm open to both. I think that the shredding event, you have more recycling, reusing, repurposing, sustainable thoughts on your mind when you're doing that. So that might seem like a better fit as my first draft response to you, Dave. But the new member is also an important event because we also want to bring new residents into the fold of our new thought process. So that's why that might be a good event too, but it probably won't connect to as many people, but I could be wrong about that as well. Any other thoughts?
Well, we did this a while ago, and we had a table set up. This was for the new residents, and people were just interested in meeting each other. They didn't seem, no one came to the table. So maybe the recycling is a better job.
I mean, I did take the Mother Earth project down to the new residents, and I signed up a lot of people to Clearview Renewable Energy, which I'd like to do that maybe again in the future. Because that was so that was sort of in the same spirit of whatever. I mean, I think that could be I'm open to both, but I think we should do it. So when is the new member event? Does anyone know the date of that?
I don't know. I don't think it's been set yet.
So why don't we just for the time being, let's recommend, I don't think this needs to be a formal thing to the town council, or does it, Marnie, that we recommend that we do this LED program during the shredding event? Since you're, or Kabir, or do either of you know whether we need to do that formally?
I don't think in the past it's been done formally. Is Phyllis actually doing that event? Jeffrey told me he was taking it over.
That might be the case. So I don't know, you know more information than I do. So maybe that is the case.
Last time I talked to Phyllis and Jeffrey about this, but that was several weeks ago. Jeffrey had said he was going to be doing the event.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I saw Phyllis at the pool the other day, and she seemed highly tentative about doing the event. So it's possible. I don't think it's been organized or finalized. And
Okay.
to your question, Bart, I don't think you need council to,
Okay.
show up and participate in that event.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'd like to push this discussion about this sort of higher density to the next meeting, but I'd like to end with this last important item, which had to do with these leaf blower, this pamphlet or leaflet that I'd like to distribute. This is what I sent you. It's basically something that was crafted in coordination with other towns that I'm working with. So Maria from the Chevy Chase Village wrote an earlier draft, and I've updated it and made it more connected to. But this is something I sent you earlier. It's like starts at goodbye gas powered leaf blowers, and then it has 10 good reasons why we should do that. And on the other side, it gives you what we need to do. I sent it to you. I mean, I could.
I have a comment about it. I've been waiting for the whole meeting to
Go
share
ahead.
my comment.
Please go ahead.
I think I think it's fine, except for one thing. In the list of 10 things, all of the things are why gas leaf blowers are bad, and they're too loud and they pollute too much. And then number 9 is just sort of out there. It's why all leaf blowers are bad. And if the purpose of the pamphlet is to get people on board for the electric and battery ones, and not like the gas powered ones, I don't think number 9 fits.
Because we're basically, we're being hypocritical, right?
Well, we're not being hypocritical. We're just, it's a different issue.
Yeah.
The issue of this pamphlet is why we should ban the gas ones and use the others. And this is saying why,
Well, this does say that, we should be mowing our leaves into our grass, which are bits and pieces of leaves, which still could be used by
true.
the butterflies and all the ground animal kingdom. So I didn't think it was a real contradiction.
I had a similar reaction to Ralph, and I had actually wanted to add something, and that was the one that I was going to suggest taking off. I don't feel as strongly as Ralph about it, but for a similar reason, it seemed to not fit with the others. And then the thing I wanted to add was to reflect the conversations that we heard at the town council. And I think we need to, reflect the fact that as part of this, we will be, trying to work with the small minority-owned, landscaping, companies to ensure there's a just transition, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Do you think you could write me a draft of that replacement for number 9, Dave?
Sure.
Something nice and simple, and that sounds very reasonable. Okay, so this is what my thought is about this leaflet, which is what is basically, what I like to do is print these out in duplicate so that each household would receive 2 identical ones that would be, interleaved with each other, and then one would be, you would ask one to be given to your landscaper, and the other one you keep for yourself as a reminder of what we're doing. This is just my idea, and that my hope was that I would put this this flyer leaflet in the town journal in the upcoming month, and then I'd also mail it. I have all the town residents on a MailChimp where I send out. I used it for the survey or whatever we did for the leaf blowers, in the past year. And then also, most importantly, I would ask that like all of our environment committee members would take a bunch of them in their hand and basically go door to door and say, hey, we're distributing this today, and blah, 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 talk about what's happened, and this is what we're doing, and we're encouraging you to think about gardening slightly differently, as it says, raking more, blowing less, mowing your leaves, blowing much less frequently, particularly only through the drains, but, and that type of thing, going door to door. I mean, that's what I think will make a big difference, having a personal connection with people. So what I'm proposing is to ask the council members to considering taking a chunk of the neighborhood with a stack of these and going door to door. I'd love to get your feedback, and maybe we can finish with this topic. I know we've gone 15 minutes now over.
I have a
Are
quick
you
reaction.
planning on doing something in Spanish? I thought I read that you wanted the homeowners to hand this to the landscapers.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that, Marnie. Yeah, I need to, yes, is the answer to your question. Thank you for reminding me. And I have somebody ready to translate already. Just completely forgot. Any other comments?
My quick reaction is it would be great to have a call to action up top, like this fall, make the transition or something like that. You know, which could be powerful.
You mean to have like a Zoom call?
No, just a call to action. So the leaflet is saying why you must, there's a ban, it's going to come. This is important to do. We are the reasons, but encourage people this year, this fall, to sort of make the transition.
Right.
And sort of call to action up top could be powerful.
So are you saying that we should have like another flyer that goes out or another article in the town journal? For sure, doing that. Is that what can you give me specifically what you're imagining?
It says the ban begins Jan 1, 2023.
Right.
And I wondered if this leaflet would encourage people to act sooner. That's all. And one way to do that is ask folks to make the transition this year.
Right.
Sort of a volunteer call to action based on benefits, and just say, it's coming, but you can make the transition this year.
Okay.
Was what I thought, but great idea overall. So
would that mean maybe I should include like a call to action, a volunteer call to action, more visible in this leaflet?
Yes, maybe up top, the first thing, and say here's why. Maybe you don't have to wait for the ban.
Right.
Make it happen.
A volunteer call to action, something like that. Can you see what I'm writing right now?
I can, yeah.
Or something like that.
But don't go changing this on my measly suggestion. But yeah, that something like that would appeal to me, I know, and I think it would appeal to residents.
No, I looking at it right now already, it appeals to me because it is. I mean, I do a lot of call to action parachutes with our Parachutes for the Planet project around the world.
We have them. We have it. So I agree. I think that works.
Yeah. So thank you for that input. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I think it would be great to call this meeting, bring it to an end, and then maybe if it's okay, I'd like to, I'll just look at everybody's addresses. I know where you all live, and maybe we can cut this neighborhood up into like 6 or 7 different sections where people would go door to door and share. Does that sound reasonable? And I'll put together sort of like a protocol of how we do it, and like if no one's there, we leave it, and and I'll get your feedback too. So we'll do this offline to sort of figure out how specifically to do it. But
let's post it at the pool too, when people are checking in.
Say that again, Kabir.
Sorry, I was saying let's post it at the pool entrance too, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay, great. Okay, great. All right, guys, thank you so much. Sorry that this went over. Again, I'm sorry. We just have so many interesting things to discuss, but have a nice evening, and we will be in touch.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.